And this CV and SOP workshop would be related to about, not just about your jobs, like you require these documents, CV and SOP for your jobs, but also for your internships and your higher education, not just in India but also anywhere. It can be France as well, and not just limited to France. So I will also cover Chapak scholarship as well in the end. And by the end of the session, if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to take all of those questions. So I will start and I will share my screen now, if that is okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes. So I request you to note the questions in case if students have any questions. Students, you can note down the questions, and in the end, we can have a good discussion about any query that you have. So please confirm if my screen is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am. I think the screen is getting visible to all of us. Yeah.
Okay, can everyone can see this role and importance blue slide?
Yes, ma'am. We can see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for confirming. So, all right. So we're talking about CV and SOP, and before starting, I would like any of the students to tell me the full form of CV and the full form of SOP, because I hope you have an idea about that. Anyone? Unmute yourself. What does CV stand for? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Any of the students?
CV stands for curriculum vitae, and what does SOP stand for? Can anyone tell me?
Statement of purpose.
So SOP, yes, very good, very good. So SOP stands for statement of purpose. And can anyone tell me if you already have these documents with you in place or not? I hope you all have at least a CV of yourself. Do you have it? Okay. I think students are tired with the classes they are going on. Okay, no problem. All right. So CV stands for curriculum vitae and SOP stands for statement of purpose. And where you need these documents, you are required to submit your CV and your SOP when you are applying for jobs, when you are applying for projects or for your research program, for example, your PhD. You also require to submit these documents if you are applying for scholarships and as well as your higher education program. So, what is the role and importance of CV? Right? Why you need the CV and why it is the prerequisite document for any of these three options. So, the aim of the CV and SOP, the aim, or I can say the role, the purpose of these documents is to speed date your recruiters. Now, if anyone has any idea about speed dating the recruiter, can anyone tell me? You can unmute yourself. Okay, I can speak. So, speed dating means speed dating your recruiter. Like the full term, it means asking the right questions and giving the right answers to the right questions which are not yet asked. Now, what does that mean? So, when you're applying for a job or an internship or your scholarships, or it can be anything, like the general idea is that they are requiring these documents, the viewer is requiring these documents to know if you are eligible or if you stand enough for that, if you really deserve to be selected for that program or not. And how do they judge you? They judge you by checking your CV and just glancing the right answers to the questions, if the candidate is right enough or not, if the candidate has done the relevant education as per the job role or internship role or not, if the candidate is motivated enough to be worthy enough to get selected or not, if the candidate has right skill sets which are required for the particular job role or internship role or not. So these are the questions the viewer is analyzing, and he is looking for a candidate who is very much desired for the same role. And this is the major document, CV and SOP, through which they judge you. They judge you and then they take decision if you will be going ahead, if you will be getting selected or not. So moving on, I'm talking about statement of purpose. So this is the most important document, and you will have to submit it anywhere in India. If you go for your internships, you will have to require a statement of purpose or a cover letter. And in this slide, I will tell you how you make your own SOP and how you will draft your own SOP and how you will do that. So talking about the general idea about the SOP, it is a short 1-2 page document, and the format of SOP is as similar to that of an essay, right? And it is the quickest way to introduce and present yourself to the institute or to the viewer. And of course, this is the first way of screening you. And if you get selected, if your CSOP gets selected, only then it opens doors to interviews. So can you imagine how important drafting an ideal SOP is? Because if you do not have a good statement of purpose, you are not going to get selected anyhow. So drafting this SOP is very, very important, and it adds weightage to your selection criteria. As I mentioned earlier, why is it important? So it is one of the most important pieces because it gives the reviewers an understanding of your academic background and your interest. This I can say this particular essay, because it follows a similar structure of that of an essay, it allows you to illustrate in your own words what sets you apart from other applicants. It also helps the recruiters to determine if you are a good match for the program or not. And in the end, it also shows the way you communicate your ideas, it also shows the way you express your perceptions. So I think you all have got an idea by now how important it is and how reflecting your SOP is decision maker in your career. Now, what I will do, now we know how important it is for you to draft your ideal SOP. Now, I will tell you how you can draft your SOP, right? So, moving on, there is this template that I have for you. I hope my screen is visible clearly. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this particular paragraph or this particular slide, sorry. This is very important, and I will tell you each step by step what you have to write in which paragraph. Am I audible? Am I
Ma'am,
there?
you're breaking.
Okay. Am I there? Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's better.
Okay. So I hope even my screen is visible because I'm not sure.
No, your screen is visible, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. And in case if there is any problem, just please do not hesitate to alarm me so that I can check my connection and then move ahead.
Sure, ma'am.
All right. So talking about this format template that I have for students, if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. So this format is for your reference, and in this format or in the slide, I will tell you how you should, yourself write an ideal statement of purpose for yourself. So as you can see, this SOP or this particular template is divided into 5 paragraphs and more than that, and each paragraph is very clear and separated from each other. So talking about the first paragraph, which is introduction. So what you write in this particular paragraph. So your introduction, or I can say this particular first paragraph, is your statement of goals. So you have to use this space to talk about your goals in life, and you should be very, very creative here, and you should use analogy or quotations to make it more interesting, but don't waste a lot of space in introducing your goal. So the sooner you lay it out, the better it is. So you should remember that in this paragraph, you will write an essay about your goals in life. So starting with your goals is always a good idea. Now you have an idea what you have to write in this particular paragraph and how you should be very creative here. And how you be creative? You have to use a quotation or something that has inspired you so that it becomes very catchy. Talking about the second paragraph, that is your background. And what should you mention in this particular paragraph? Now, when I say you have to write about your background, You have to write about your academic background, or in other words, you have to write about your career progression. So this is the paragraph that you usually use to talk about yourself, your academic background. You can start with a brief history about yourself and career progression starting from your school to your college, right? So this is the paragraph that is usually dedicated to your academic pursuits. So for example, if you have work experience, you should talk about your school life later on, but start with your work experience. If you are a complete fresher, or if you have done only a couple of internships, then you should talk about your internships first and then talk less about your academic pursuits. Now, if you have not done any internship, then you should better focus on whatever you have learned or any project that you have done throughout your college. So I hope this paragraph is clear, and also in this paragraph you can mention if you have done any extracurricular or an optional activity or any other research project that you have taken a part of. So uh, this is the second paragraph. Now the most important paragraph, which is the third paragraph, this says why this course. So you will eventually have to face this question anyhow in your life, because even if you apply for any university or for any internship or any other organization, even for your jobs, you will have to go through this question, because everyone asks this question to you, which is why this organization, why this particular scholarship, and why this country, why this particular it can be anything for whatever you are applying for, right? So this is the most important part of your statement of purpose, because this is the place where you provide the reason as to why you wish to do what you wish to do, right? So you can make it more interesting by narrating an incident that led you to the decision or a turning point in your life. So I think the tip that I can give you in this particular paragraph is that you should be more empathetic. The more passionate you are in this paragraph, the better it is. And in case if you do not have a story to tell, you can create one. You obviously have a right to create a story if you do not have it. So I mean, I will explain this particular section in detail after I conclude the session, and then I will tell you how you do it. Moving on and talking ahead about career and goals paragraph. So in this paragraph, you have to explain how you plan to achieve your goals. They are not asking what are your goals, but they are asking your plan, your trajectory towards that goal. So you are finally ending your essay, right? You are finally reaching the end of the essay. So far you have talked about what you want to do your goals in life, and what led you to that decision, and why you are, you know, moving towards this course. So now you have to lay down how you plan to achieve your goals, your trajectory. So, for example, if you wish to get into research, write it. If you wish to do your own business, write it. If you plan to work for any organization, write it. If you plan to work for a certain organization, maybe in Europe or maybe abroad, you should write it. Right. So, for example, if you want to open your own startup, let's say that, for example, so give it some time and make it feel like more natural. And how you do that? So, for example, you can say that after doing my graduation, I would like to work in your organization, and I would like to get some work experience for like 5 to 7 years. And then my long-term goal is to start my own business of that, this and that, XYZ. It can be anything. So the more realistic you are in this particular paragraph, the better it is going to be for your particular SOP and for your particular application. Now, talking about why this university, again, here you have to show specific, minute details of university or any organization that you're applying for that attract you. So you should also mention how the exposure would help you get your goals done. So for example, let's say if you want to work for JP Morgan, and if you're writing this SOP for JP Morgan, and if they ask you why this particular organization, why you want to work for JP Morgan, you should not say that I want to work for JP Morgan because the job location is Bangalore and I would be getting more exposure there in the city. You should never write this. what you should write is, you can add the minute details. It can be work culture, it can be job satisfaction, it can be anything. You cannot conclude job satisfaction, of course, but you should do your research and say that I had spoken to the I think there's some weird noise. Anyways,
Just a moment. Let me mute.
yes. So because the reason why you should avoid talking about specific features like geographic. Yes, there is some problem.
Ma'am, I need to mute it. Yes,
Hello.
ma'am, you can go ahead. I'm trying to mute everyone.
Okay, sure.
No, no.
I'm going to reshare my I think my screen is visible. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So moving on. So I was telling that, for example, if you are applying for any job like JP Morgan in Bangalore, and if you say that, okay, I want to work in Bangalore because it would give me enough exposure, so you should not mention about geographical location of any organization, be it any school, anything, because there are plethora of organizations there in Bangalore. So why JP Morgan and why not any other organization? So do your minute research. The more detailed and the more subjective you are in this particular section, the better it is going to be. Going ahead and talking about conclusion, which is the last paragraph of your statement of purpose. So here you have to sum up whatever you have written so far. How you do that? You have to create bullet points and put it in the form of a paragraph. Use analogy and paraphrase whatever you have written. And the most important thing is, you should not write anything which is related to financial assistantship. I will tell you what it is later on. So I hope like you have now an idea of what you should write in which paragraph. And I hope I was clear throughout. I know there are some network glitches which are there for a reason. This is the problem of doing virtual sessions. So, but anyhow, I'm trying to be as explicit as I can in this workshop. And in case if you have any questions, we can anyhow discuss during the end. Moving on. So, here are some do's and don'ts of writing your statement of purpose. So, talking about the do's, which are the very important guidelines for you if you are writing one for yourself. So, make sure your SOP is very well connected and all the paragraphs are interconnected with the proper usage of conjunctions. Make sure you mention your academic background and you use active voice and positive tones throughout your essay. Once you finish writing your essay, check for grammatical errors, proofread your document, and I would suggest you ask for your professor, or if you want, you can get in touch with me so that I can review it and then try to, uh, get different opinions from different people of what they think about your statement of purpose. This is the best idea of writing your own SOP. The last important thing is, you should be very consistent, honest, and straightforward when you write your SOP. So do not be more, do not fake it, neither wing it. You have to be realistic and stay focused on what you really wish to do in life. Talking about the don'ts, so you should never ever exceed the word limit. And when you write your SOP, sometimes the reviewer mentions the word limit. And for example, if the word limit is 1,000 words, make sure you conclude everything within 800 words. So never exceed the word limit and never use the same SOP for all the organizations you are working. If you are making one SOP for JP Morgan, then make sure that you write specific features of that particular or- organization in your cover letter. And then if you are writing different SOPs for different organizations, make sure you are customizing your SOP. Never copy your SOP. I know there are many samples available on internet, but if you copy your SOP, anyhow everyone will get to know it. So it's better you stay safe. Never copy. However, you can use internet to see and read and go through a couple of SOPs for reference, but do not entirely copy it. Lastly, you should never mention the scores if you have like IELTS score or DELF score or IIT. Like, there are different exams, competitive exams that you give and you really score good, but do never mention any of the scores in your statement of purpose, and never mention your interest in any other institution. You have to be very, very loyal like a dog when you write SOPs for one organization. So I hope this is also clear to you. Moving forward, so now I have made specific slides for internship. When you write your SOP for your jobs or internships, so what you have to do, if you are writing your SOP just for your jobs or internships, then you make sure that it is a lucid articulation of your interest, your goals, and where you want to see yourself in future. Also, very importantly, you should mention the reason behind applying for a particular job. You should also, most importantly, mention your strengths and experiences which are complementing to that particular job role. And lastly, never forget to mention how the company can benefit from hiring you. So these are at least the four important aspects you should write on in detail when you are specifically applying for a job. And by chance, if you are applying for any scholarship, then you should explain why and how this program is going to value your further studies. You should also explain why you have chosen the country or any other program. Not France, but it can be any country. Even in India, if you are applying for a scholarship, you should mention why and how you choose it. You also have to in detail write why you have applied for that particular institution, and also mention why you are a worthy candidate for the scholarship and or why you would be a worthy candidate for the scholarship. So these are the points. It can be your career achievements, it can be your dream, it can be your financial background, it can be the fact that you want to do more in life but you are lacking the resources. It can be any of those reasons. So going ahead and talking about curriculum vitae, so we covered SOP, and we as of now discussed how to write SOP and what we should mention and what we should not mention for in our SOPs. Talking about curriculum vitae, so it is a maximum 2-page document talking about resume, and it traces your experiences and achievements. The aim of curriculum vitae is to develop interest in your profile. Make sure it is very concise, clear, and catchy. And again, it is the best way to speed date your recruiters. Talking about the basic structure, so the first section of your CV covers your personal details. When I say personal details, it should never be your address. You should never ever mention your address on your CV. You should mention your email ID, your contact number, and LinkedIn link if you have. The second section of your CV should be dedicated for professional experience. If you are a fresher, then you can mention your internship experiences or projects that you have done. The third section should be dedicated to your educational qualifications. And the last section would be your skills and your hobbies or interest. Following up, so here are points that you should consider on the left. Make sure you use a consistent use of font for your CV, and you should write the most recent experience first. So, for example, if you have done any internship, like if you have done 3 internships, then you should mention the most recent one and then follow it as a reverse chronological order. And similar is the case with educational qualifications. So, when you are mentioning your education, make sure you mention the recent qualification or the recent degree that you have received, and then talk about it. Talk about it in a reverse chronological order. Again, if you are done writing your CV, then give it a proofread. Check for any spelling or grammar mistakes that you have done. And another advice is ask for your seniors, your professors, your training and placement officer to go through the document and give their opinion on how they can also make it more better. Your CV should be in a PDF version, and in case if you have a good LinkedIn account, like if you have enough professional experience, which is I don't think so probably the case as of now, then you can also post a LinkedIn link on your CV. Talking about the section on the right, here are the things which you should not do. So make sure that the font that you're using should not be New Roman or Arial. Make sure you avoid long sentences while you write your CV. Also not bullet points. And while you're writing your CV in the section, you should not mention any irrelevant or old information, and neither your photo. Your photo is not required, because I have seen a lot of CVs with like photos which are not professional. So it's better to not post any photo rather than giving a wrong hint to the reviewer. Avoid showing gaps, and there is one most important thing that I will share in the end, how you avoid showing gaps. Because generally what we try to do, we try to put false information while we try to avoid showing gaps, and there is another best alternative way which we will discuss in the end, how we should avoid academic year gaps if we have. Lastly, never mention fake facts. So on your CV, if you are claiming something, for example, if you are claiming that you have done some internship, and if you are not able to provide suitable documents, supporting documents for that particular internship, then make sure you never write it, never put fake facts. So these are the points which you should really consider when you are editing or modifying your curriculum vitae. Now here are some tools. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of that. This is very important, and once you click on the link here later on, these links are anyhow clickable, but I'm not sure if you have the access to it, so I will share these links in the chat box as well. So here I have in place this tool. So this tool is really helpful for students, as it has a lot of CV and SOP templates for students, and they can really customize it as per their needs and desires, and as per their organization. So you get everything handy, and but you only have to write it and do some corrections. So it's way too easy for students to write and modify their CV and SOP documents. So I will share the link in the chat. Lastly, Campus France at the Embassy of France organizing a Choose France tour, where there will be one Campus France manager for you to assist you throughout and help you if you want to study in France, or if you want to do your internships in France. You can also check the eligibility criteria for Chapak scholarship and know more about the Chapak scholarship while you register for the event. I will again share this link in the chat box, the registration link. The session is of course free of cost. It will be online, and it is going to be on 11th of March from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I personally, I'm doing a webinar on scholarships, and there will be alumni and boursiers who have been awarded with the scholarships, and you will get a chance to get in touch directly with them and learn how they benefit from studying in France. And you can also directly get in touch with the school representatives of each and every stream. So I think it is a good chance for students to learn and go through a lot and do their research about what they want to do in life, and it is going to be helpful and free of cost. So I suggest you all register for the event and join it and apprise yourself about future opportunities, definitely. Concluding on, I'm going to stop my screen share. I think I was there have been some network glitches throughout, but I hope I was clear. And in case if students have any questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask.
I think Ma'am Aluri have put in the chat that if you can share the links
Yes,
regarding the event and the whatever resources you have said, you can please put those in the chat.
Yes. So the link is there. I have already sent. You go to the link, you register, and there you receive an email with all the necessary tools and resources as well.
Ma'am, there is one question from my side. So when I was going through the presentation, you have written that the font should not be in Times New Roman or Arial. So basically, what type of font should be there if it should not be Times New Roman or Arial?
Okay, so there's this one font which is named as Verdana, and it's very okay. I will type it in the chat. So this is the font which at least um, I mean, if students are applying for scholarships and internships in France, this is an ideal font. This is just a suggestion. I'm not forcing anyone to not use Times New Roman, but if they can avoid, they can choose other alternatives as well. Another most important thing is that students, if they have year gaps or if they have sabbaticals, because sometimes it happens that soon after we complete our 12th we start preparing for IIT JEE exams, or we do not have a clear idea sometimes, and then we end up having sabbaticals, or I can say year gaps, academic year gaps. So the best solution of not showing it is that, of course, it will be shown that you write a self declaration letter. You sign the self declaration letter and send it to the recruiter if they ask you why you have a year gap. So rather than mentioning your justification there on the CV, there should be a separate document which should be duly signed in PDF format, and there you write what you were doing during that particular time while you were taking an academic gap year. So I think this is best alternative rather than mentioning anything everything on CV and SOP. Another important thing is about photos. So they, like, I've seen a lot of CVs with like unprofessional photos, and there's no strict format, so they put their photos anywhere on the CV, and then it becomes very, like, confusing for us. If you really want if you're comfortable, like, ideally it is not important if you are not posting any CV on your CV, any photo on your CV, it's completely fine. But if you still want to do that, then what you can do, you can scan your passport size photograph, and while you are submitting your application, you should also like provide them your CV, your passport size photograph, your SOP, or any other document that they are requiring. So this is the alternative that can be sticked to if students can think of it. So I would not suggest students having their photographs on their CV. Duly signed by your own self. You should be putting your own sign in the last, and the format is like to whomsoever it may concern. I, Divya Saxena, I have taken a gap from 2018 to 19 because I have been preparing for whatever. You should be very honest, and that's how you write it, and you should put your sign in the end.
Ma'am, there is one more question from Siddharth.
Siddharth,
Aluri. Siddharth.
I cannot see the question in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am. So let me read it. Also, ma'am, you said bullet point should not be used in CV. Can you please tell us why?
Okay, so bullet points, you should not use your bullet points on your CV. Like, so the important reason is that you only use your bullet points if you are writing in brief about a particular section. So you, like, for example, if you have done an internship at any organization, and if you want to write in detail about the organization, like your task, your roles, your accomplishments, then in that particular section you can divide those paragraphs in your bullet points. But your entire CV should not be a bullet pointed thing, and the paragraphs on your CV or the sections on your CV should be only separated by lines, like horizontal and vertical lines. PhD students having internship opportunities. So there are more options for PhD students in France, and there is Raman Chapak scholarship, which will open in the month of April for students. So they can do their research project in any city in France, all they have to do is go to the Campus France website and do their research and contact directly the institution where they would like to do their internship with. And once they get selected, they can start the visa procedure as soon as possible. If you want, you can get in touch with me so that we can discuss one on one how in detail about your application procedure, because I think, I mean, it would be too time consuming for each and everyone if I discuss it now. I'm going to share my contact details in the chat box so students can take it for reference and save it later on.
Ma'am, there is one more thing. So, for example, say in India, we know that there is a list of institutions which is published by UGC, that these are the institutions which are verified by the Indian government. So, is there a list of institutions from the French government?
Yes, there is. So in France, there is a list that they share regularly to the audience. And for example, in India, we have the system of UGC verification. There it is RNCP certified schools are there. So if the school is RNCP certified, it means it's as equivalent to an AICTE approved school in India. So
So, how
students have to just Google RNCP certified schools in France, and there they can get through it, the document. Plus, I also have a list of all these certified schools. There is an online catalog that I have in place. So all these schools mentioned there in that catalog are 100% RNCP certified. So they can contact me if they want to know more about schools in France.
ma'am, there is one more question from Sumit regarding what is the timeline to apply for postgrad in France.
So timeline is March and April. March and April is the peak season where all the applications are starting even now, and all these schools are accepting applications for the new intake. The intake is for September, so if you start now, you will get admission for September intake.
So, ma'am, this Charpak scholarship is also is during this time only.
Yes, so the deadline for Chapak scholarship is 28th of March, and this is only for students who already are accepted at any French institute.
Okay.
So student, if they want to apply for Chapak, first they have to contact French institutes, get themselves selected. Once they get selected, they can then apply for Chapak scholarship.
Ma'am, there is one more question. What are the scholarships available for master's program in France for the prospective Indian students?
Okay, so there are more than 500 scholarships which are offered to Indian meritorious students. And the most important one is Chapak scholarship. Another scholarship is Eiffel scholarship. There is another scholarship which is cruise. So like it depends on the domain the student want to avail scholarship in. So there is, okay, I'll share one link in the chat box. Aluri, you can save it for your reference, and there you'll get through Erasmus Mundus programs as well. So Erasmus Mundus scholarship is offered in every domain, irrespective of your academics. So you can refer to that as well. I'm going to quickly share this. Yeah.
Few of the faculty members have also gone for Erasmus Mundus postdoc opportunities. So I
Oh,
think
that's nice.
with me, when I was studying in IIT Roorkee, so there many of my colleagues have gone to the European countries through Erasmus Mundus program.
It's very, very amazing program. I've shared the link in the chat box already. By the way, if there is any question and if there are any doubts even after the session, Amit, you can share my email ID with the students,
Sure,
and
ma'am.
yes, I can get in touch with them, and I organize personalized counseling sessions to students as well. So
Ma'am, is there any WhatsApp group for this campus plan so that a student can directly put their query there? I think in the email also you have mentioned it. So is that an official group? Well, if the student want, they can join and put the.
yes, that is the official group, and students, if they want, they can join the group from there.
Great. So,
Yes.
anyone else have any question they can ask? Otherwise, we'll wrap the session.
Yeah, we would wait for one more minute, and if there are no more questions, then we can end the session.
Fine, ma'am. I think there are no more questions coming from the student. So let me thank you for giving your time, and we would expect you someday at our institution. I think the institution is now going to open physically from 21st. I thought that we would be having this session physically, because then more number of students could be engaged, and the message could reach out to large number of audience. But ma'am, maybe in future we'll have that opportunity with you. If anytime you are coming to Raipur, you are most welcome to our institute. And additionally, thank you so much for sharing such a wonderful information for the student. I think every year almost 15 to 20 students from IIIT Naya Raipur, they go to US, Canada, and European countries for the internships, for the major project, for the MS program and the PhD program. And I think with the information you have given, I think that would make their path much easier for them. And we also look forward to more relationship building between the campus branch and IIIT Naya Raipur. So with these words, ma'am, thank you again for sharing your precious time with us.
Thank you so much, Amit. It would not have been possible if you would not have, consolidated it throughout. Like we had so many calls and when to organize, what to organize. It takes really so much effort, so many efforts to, organize a session like this virtually. And thank you so much for you and your team for actually letting me organize this presentation. And we would look forward to meeting you and staying in touch with you. And whenever I'm in Raipur, I would definitely visit the school.
Ma'am, also I would request you to share that link to me, detail to me on the mail, so that I can share it with the students regarding the program of campus branch, where the students can
Definitely.
visit the
I will do
institutions.
that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And all the students, thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me later on. Do not hesitate to reach out. I'm here for your help. Yeah. All right. Bye. Bye. Take care. Bye, Amit.
Bye bye, ma'am. Take care.